everybody, it's Sophie and Marco Dish on the Movies, and guess what? We're on our final episode of season 5 of Better Call Saul. Can you believe it? Well, it was only 10 episodes, so it went pretty quickly. I know 10 weeks isn't quick, but it really is compared to other shows with, I don't know, 18, 20, 23, whatever.
30, 40.
Okay, well, I want to just start out with sometimes when you watch a show, they have a quote at the beginning. Well, this is my quote for the beginning. Quote, "The men I have chosen for this are highly skilled. They're the best in their business," declared Gus to Mike. Cough, sputter, out flies the soda from my mouth. As I rewatch the episode, this line reveals that Gus isn't as smart and savvy as I previously thought. Oy vey, I
That's
sighed.
racist.
No, it
That's
isn't.
racist.
No, it's not.
That's
He's not.
racist.
He's not smart. I thought he was like Darth Vader, and he could pull the rug out from anybody. But no. Well, I guess he can do that, but he just isn't as smart about it as I thought.
Oh, of course he isn't, because he isn't white.
What are you talking about? I don't know what Marco's doing. Anyway, this finale was very pale. Totally not what I expected, which was something stronger, more impactful. Something with a good-sized bite, not a sip or a nibble. What the hell? Have the show's creators and writers lost interest in making this show, I wonder? The main characters in this season finale episode of Better Call Saul are Jimmy, Kim, Mike, Lalo, Gus, Howard, Nacho, the Don, and an assortment of Lalo's family, friends, and hired guards, and a few less than stealthy and completely moronic hired assassins. Basically, we are now deep-sea diving into ugliness, death, and evil, also sadness and trepidation. Lalo, I know now, is like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. He can be evil and kill innocent people at the drop of a hat, or gregarious, warm, generous, and outgoing. We got to see his Dr. Jekyll side after watching Senor Hyde at Kim and Jimmy's apartment. And when he traveled to Chihuahua, he acted so warm and friendly toward his friends and family that I ended up being on his side. What does it mean when you suddenly start rooting for the bad guy and you discover that Darth Vader Gus is not as smart or great as he thinks he is? That was a complete surprise. And Nacho, I am so upset. I really like him, but Gus the jackass jerk neither appreciates nor respects him, even after what he has done for him. Now Nacho is just about dead. He's walking on an oil-covered tightrope and going to fall soon. I don't think, truthfully, it will end well for Lalo either. By the way, I want to point out one more thing before Marco starts in, because I doubt many people noticed this when Lalo introduced Nacho to his friends and family. He called him Nachito. That is a sign of affection. And to have Nacho betray him is not going to turn out so well. Okay, go ahead, Marco.
You saying you didn't like this episode?
I'm saying it was a big disappointment.
Oh, why is that? Because it didn't do exactly what you wanted it to do? Like, are you that much of a spoiled fan?
No, I just expect more, but I think with so few of episodes, if you make a mistake, it's very hard to correct.
Well, there's no mistakes on Better Call Saul. there hasn't been any mistakes in the entire series.
There's always a mistake in the series.
I am speaking now, Safi, and this episode is probably the greatest episode of television.
I don't know what is going on with Marco today. I don't think he had a good breakfast or something, or a good sleep.
Greatest television episode in history. I mean, that scene where nothing happened was brilliant.
Well, there was a few scenes like that.
Oh, the whole episode?
I don't know. Perhaps.
I mean, this
It was
finale.
very sad.
Oh, there was. Oh, it was a tearjerker.
Even the cat doesn't like it.
But you know the real star of the show is Kim, because Kim is just. I mean, who even cares about Jimmy? I mean, who even cares about that guy? He's a sleazy jerk, and he's a jackass, and who even cares about Jimmy? I like Kim, and Kim is the real star of the show. Like that one moment at the end of the episode where she turns around and she does finger guns.
Okay.
Whoa, that was incredible. I mean, who wrote that? They should get an Oscar for, I mean, an Emmy for writing that. Oh, that part at the end with the finger guns. That sticks with you afterwards. That's comparable to in Hannibal, when Hannibal hugs Will, and then he slits his throat open, and he leaves him bleeding on the kitchen floor. I mean, he stabs him, whatever. It's symbology for gayness.
Hey, Marco.
Leaves him bleeding there. That's what it's comparable to. And, the same thing with, what you were talking about with Nachito. Well, if you go to Tumblr, and you're going to find out that Lalo and Nacho are gay. That's the actual story here. The story is a little bit deeper than you'd expect, because the show is intelligent and you're not.
Okay, let's dispense with the humor now.
And then what else about this episode to talk about that's so incredible? That moment with the finger guns. Oh my god. That moment with the finger guns. Oh my god. And then there's the stuff with Lalo, where he's gonna get killed by these guys, and these guys are really scary, and then Lalo escapes, and then he kills them, and it's like, oh my god, Lalo he's so evil, and he's so he's the devil, and Nacho. Oh, I'm scared for Nacho. And, I hope nothing happens to him next season, in season 6.
Obviously it is.
Because, like, he's just... I hope nothing happens to I want Jimmy to die.
Okay, Marco. Keep going now.
I am
with the
going.
humor.
I'm not dispensing.
You're imitating.
I don't
He's
know what you're
imitating
talking
people's
about.
comments he's read on the web.
I don't know what you're talking about, Safi. This finale is the greatest television episode of all time. Just like episode 9 was when that episode came out, and just like all the other episodes were when they came out. Each episode just keeps getting better and better. Last episode was a 10 out of 10, and this episode is a 10.1 out of 10. And what else? Well, I mean, there's nothing really to talk about. Nothing else really to talk about, because nothing else really happened in this episode on the surface level. And so I'm just blown away by this episode. I give it an A+, and And that's that.
Okay, well, as for Kim and Jimmy, my opinion is she is so full of emotions, which has imprisoned her common sense. I didn't care for what she said in the hotel at all, and I fear her poor judgment and what she talks about doing to Howard will probably be the cause of her demise in next year's season, or whenever it's going to come on. The show could have dispensed with all that hotel back and forth with Kim and Jimmy. It left a bad taste in my mouth and I thought was very disingenuous. The only thing I can excuse it with is that both Kim and Jimmy have PTSD. Jimmy from his desert shootout and trek, and Kim for worrying about him and dealing with Lalo afterward. The showdown at the Lalo Corral was laughable and horrible. It felt dishonest and weak-kneed compared to what happened to Jimmy on the road back to Albuquerque, or should I say, the desert back to Albuquerque. The finale could have eliminated this episode, except that it did highlight the best side of Lalo. I think the show's creators need an intervention. Plus, they only had 10 episodes. With only 10, there's no room for error. None. So I give the episode a C, the season a D. Nacho
You're
never
supposed to rate the season in terms of food, Sophie.
I will. Nacho never had a chance. And why is Kim acting like a dummy? Putting Nair in Howard's hair cream? Sunblock in his tanning lotion? That is stupid. So, for the food thing, because this is what we do for movies, and when we do a whole season as a whole, we give the whatever we're talking about a food rating, because that is what we do that's different from others. I give it a burned pizza for the season. When I'm really looking forward to eating a good pizza, and it's really hard for me because almost everything doesn't taste good, but I've had a few good ones lately. And the place overcooks it, and we have had a few pizzas that have been overcooked, and the cheese is brown and hard. I'm talking about well-known pizza establishments where there's many of them, not just a small business. And when it comes out and the pizza's brown, no matter what toppings, because they're all underneath the cheese, or a lot of them are underneath, and there's some above, so they get brown too. I am very unhappy. And that's my review. Okay, go ahead, Marco. Do you have anything that you really want to say, or that you just want to repeat what you have read on the internet about people, reviewers out there, which, why are you doing this? You are demeaning yourself. Do not review something positively just because somebody tells you to or pays you to do it. If you are really ethical and honest, you will give an honest review. If you really liked it, okay, fine. Then say why and mean it. Don't make play pretend arguments about why it was so good. You know that they could have done better. You've seen better with the creators. And unless we have misunderstood the entire time of what this show is about, it's just about the march to Breaking Bad. I mean, the reason why people wanted
That's
to
all
watch.
it's about now. It used to be about Better Call Saul.
The reason why people wanted to see this show, I think, it's my opinion, but I think I'm right, was because they liked the character of Saul. But I don't like that name, so I'm just say it. His name is really Jimmy, James, Jimmy. Okay, and they liked the character because he was interesting. And they liked him so much because he is a very good actor. He's funny and he's interesting. And they wanted to see a show about him. And I realize this is a prequel to Breaking Bad because we're showing how he developed as a character. All right? But really, you've got Gus, who really is a big-time crime boss. He's not any dud. I mean, he's done some really awful things, and he will continue to do awful things. But this thing where he says he's hired the best people, and this kind of shows, this is kind of true. You have people buying guns who are not really prepared to use them. In other words, they're not trained properly. I mean, that's fact. So you're hiring, and so that he spent money. This is all fiction, of course, but he spent good money hiring these people. It's a team. There's more than one. There's like, what, four, three, I don't know, maybe four more, maybe. They have all this gear on. They have night stuff, little like headlamps, and their guns. They have these huge guns, and they can do all this stuff. And that, if you don't know what you're doing, all that equipment doesn't matter at all. You can just throw it in the trash, because they could have done better not wearing anything and not having those guns and having knives and being smarter. Because you know what? Lalo outsmarted them, because you know why? They attacked him on his home turf, and they didn't know he had a tunnel. And that tunnel was really cool.
The real reason,
very cool.
The real reason he outsmarted them was because of plot convenience.
Well, whatever, the plot convenience was a dumb convenience, because I've seen, because somebody else in the house watches a million of them, spy shows and military warcraft shows, which I don't care for right now, especially. And we have people all over the world from different countries. Israel, England,
that country
France.
Doesn't exist though, Sophie.
Okay, be quiet.
Let's not talk
Switzerland,
about a country that doesn't exist.
all these other countries, they have armies, they have secret people who go and do military maneuvers, and they're trained. We have Navy SEALs, and if you're going to hire a bunch of people, it just blew my mind. It was laughable. It was almost like a comedy, because Lalo could have just stood up there and just flipped each one over with his finger. And it was unbelievable. But see, I've said this all along, and I didn't even say it now. I haven't said it one time today. Lalo is extremely smart. They have made him a really smart character.
Can I review the show now, Sophie?
Well, if you're going to take it seriously and not imitate these fake reviewers, I'm sorry, but you're fake. Fake people say fake things. Okay? Go ahead.
Well, I wasn't imitating anyone. I was just
imitating people.
No, what I was doing is I was saying the opposite of what I really thought. And so when I was saying like, "Oh, didn't you like that scene where nothing happened?" and like that's just that's comedy. Because this episode, it's gotten to the point now where I could care fucking less about this show. I don't even care about season 6. I don't care about reviewing the show. I mean, it doesn't get that much views anyway. I mean, it's not even worth it to review. I mean, the fan base for Better Call Saul, if there even is a fan base, is probably one of the worst, most disgusting fan bases of all of them. I mean, they're horrible people who they're snobs. They don't criticize anything. If you criticize anything about the show, they call you ists and isms for criticizing. They're terrible. And the show, it's just gotten worse and worse and worse. I mean, it's like a giant pile of shit. And I mean, this episode is probably one of the worst episodes in television history. It's certainly not an apt finale. I mean, this year, lots of people are dying, and for this to be the thing that we get, to be the entertainment that we get, is just despicable. I mean, this episode was so bad that, like, I don't even really want to watch the older show anymore. Like, I don't even care. I don't even want to go back and rewatch the good seasons 1, 2, and 3. I don't even care about this show anymore. This show is dead because this episode. I mean, if you look at it seriously, this episode all it did was make me like Lalo. That's literally all it did. Lalo was the only character in the episode who actually cared about and liked, because that little prick Nacho, he abandons these innocent people, and it's like, okay, well, I hope that you die, and I hope your father dies too, you little piece of shit. And so I really, I'm with Lalo now, and for that to be, that's just stupid. I mean, why am I siding with the villain now? And then with Jimmy and Kim, whatever the fuck they were thinking there with that stupid little storyline with just, oh, we're gonna sit around in a hotel room and we're just gonna talk the whole episode, and we're just gonna talk and nothing's gonna happen, and it's gonna be all about our stupid romance that nobody really cares about, and oh god, this episode was so bad. Like I hate the fact that we paid for this episode. Like, I wish that I could have found this episode for free on YouTube. Like, that's how dumb this episode is. I don't think F minus is a bad enough rating for this episode. If I could give this episode a rating, I'd give it nothing, because this episode is trash. It doesn't deserve a rating. It doesn't deserve a review. It doesn't deserve any attention. I mean, this episode sucks. In this season, whatever this season was supposed to be, was an epic failure, just like season 4. It was fake. It had some storylines that went nowhere. It had nothing that connected it all together. It was terrible. If you look at it from the outside, without saying like, oh, I like those episodes. Like, yeah, I like those episodes, but the season overall was terrible. And so I would give the season an F minus as well, because I really, if I had a choice between uh, erasing this and season 4 from history and then continuing on to season 6, I would choose to erase these seasons from history and just have the show get canceled at season 3 if they don't know how to write, because they've really given up. You know, it's the typical thing nowadays where everything has to end after like 5 seasons, because nothing good, and I hear this all the time too, nothing good can ever go past 5 seasons. Like, oh wow, what a great limitation. Every TV show has to be a certain length and a certain this and a certain that. That's not what television is for. Television is called it's long form entertainment. It's not supposed to be cut down and restrained and tightly together, and you can just, it's just ugh. I give this season, in terms of food, I give it a rotten gift basket, because this episode, I mean, this season, it didn't feel like one meal or one thing. It felt like some jackass delivered a rotten gift basket on your doorstep with all these different little things in it, and they're really gimmicky items, but they're all rotten anyway. And they don't really connect. They don't really do anything for you because they're rotten. That's what this season is. I could throw it away in a heartbeat. I could throw away this rotten gift basket of a season. Poor excuse for the show. That moment at the end of the episode with the finger guns, you know, that was cringe-worthy level of bad.
Okay, well, that's it,
What do you think
everybody.
of that, Sophie? Do you agree?
I've already given my review. I
Do you
do want to
agree?
point out that, well, I don't know. I really was looking forward to it, and I look forward to it because I like the characters in it, and I like Jimmy. I think he's funny. I like to see him acting, and I notice that he's in Fargo too. somebody in the house has been watching Fargo, and
This
I guess
episode,
that thing's canceled too. So
this episode, this whole season basically has had nothing to do with Jimmy. I mean, you might as well just
well, I'm wondering if that's because he was in this other show. I don't know.
no, Safi.
No. Okay. Well,
No.
anyway.
You might as well just have Jimmy get killed off and just have Kim take over the show, because that's where it's at. Jimmy is a footnote. He's nothing but a footnote. He might as well be listed on this episode as a cameo. I mean, this isn't Better Call Saul anymore. This is Better Call Kim, Better Call Breaking Bad. They're constantly catering to the Breaking Bad fanboys, because the thing is that all the Breaking Bad fanboys, they didn't like seasons 1 through 3. They don't like the real show of Better Call Saul. They like Breaking Bad. And so what these stupid writers did was they tried to make seasons 4 and 5 more like Breaking Bad, to cater to those fanboys and to bring them in and make them fans of the show. And unfortunately, what they did by doing that was they alienated the core fan base of the real show, seasons 1 through 3, the actual show. The show that we wanted to watch and got was completely different than the show that we're having right now, of this Breaking Bad prequel shit.
Okay. I don't like that swearing. But anyway, I just want to say though that I am not wanting to hate on anything. There's only one thing I like to hate on, and we won't mention that now. But anyway,
What would that be, Safi?
it's political.
Batman v Superman?
Well, that too. But anyway, I expect more because we saw more in seasons 1 through 3. I don't I don't expect it to be like this, and I feel bad for these actors because some of them are going to have a hard time. They're just going to get this typical role in the future where they're bad guys and they're in the background and they have nothing significant.
They've got sombreros on, and
yeah,
they've got
they'll
big
be typecast.
curly mustaches, and they're like,
yeah, and it's a beautiful. And I don't know if any of you've ever been to this part of the country. It is a beautifully spectacular place. New Mexico is called the Land of Enchantment, and that is for a reason because it is such a cool, beautiful, diverse place with lots of different foods and art, and it's just beautiful. The sunsets and the sunrises, but so to me they're just honoring the place, and the actors. I mean, I think this has been really good for them, and the whole crew. It's just so different. We don't, the rest of us. We live in Ohio. There's nothing around here that's like New Mexico. It's not even close. So it's nice to see this part of the country uh, shown on TV and an interesting story. And so it's disappointing to me. So I'm not going to be shy about expressing my extreme disappointment at everything that they're doing or have done to the show. Sorry.
well, it's just so,
and I'm not going to be disingenuous either.
well, it's just so unfortunate that this used to be a great show, and now they had to change it and make it terrible, and then of course rush everything to an end. It's the typical thing, and so
it's
yeah.
sad
Well,
because since we've had this thing where I can't even go anywhere. I mean, I wait in the car, but I can't even go in anywhere.
Should we even review season 6? I mean,
of course we should because we have to finish what I like to finish what we started. But we'll be back. But I don't know when because with this virus thing, that's kind of screwed up these seasons, and they've talked about it with other seasons how they're going to have to be shortened and.
Well, you know what they could
can't
do?
film, and
Here's what they could do, because this is probably what they want to do. They can just have the actress who plays Kim go in a little room all by herself, and then they can just have her play all the characters.
Yeah.
and then that can be season 6 because I bet they'd love that. They'd be like, oh my god, is she finally gonna get an Emmy this season
I don't think
for
so.
the millionth time?
Except for the
And
thing when
so-
she was with Lalo. That was the best thing that I saw the whole season.
Yeah,
With
it
I mean
was
with
like-
her
it
and
was
him.
it was like, wow, this is the Kim from seasons 1 through 3 that wasn't a bitch like Kim in seasons 4 and 5.
Or she was being the way they had her. She was being disingenuous to herself.
It was like a little tiny, like, you know, the Indian in the cupboard. It was like, oh look, I'm opening up the little cupboard and I'm seeing the Kim from seasons 1 through 3 that was a really cool character. And then boom, a cupboard closed so that we can have her old evil self in the finale. If you could even call it a finale. I'm just going to call it episode 10.
Okay, whatever.
So,
Well, I think we
that's
better go
it.
now.
if you like this video, subscribe to our channel.
Or
so that
just
you
make
can
a
see-
comment. Why don't you add something to what we say? Whether if
The
you
better-
disagree,
you're-
whatever.
You think the Better Call Saul fans should make a comment? You know what
do
they're
whatever
going
you
to say?
want.
You know
yeah,
the kind of
welcome.
stupid shit they're going to say?
Well, I watch YouTube all the time with resellers, junk journal people, van dwellers,
This
and they have people who say unkind things.
This episode was better than anything Shakespeare ever wrote. You know, that's what they're going to say in the comments.
I
we-
have more faith in that. There's
Yeah.
going to be some people. I don't care. It's okay.
Whatever.
Do whatever. Okay, everybody's.
I'll just delete them.
It's not very good.
Well, I mean, they dislike every video. They give every episode a 10 out of 10. I mean, they're fakes, they're phonies, they're robots, they're frauds of human beings. They're like the body snatchers.
Okay, hon. It's time to
Okay.
go now.
Okay.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.